So you have Tourette's. Big deal. This world is full, full of problems. Just turn on the news. In this day and age, more and more people with Tourette's are popping up. In fact, the Tourette's website, the official Tourette's website, says that it's a lot more common than it used to be. A lot of people know what Tourette's is. Most people know what Tourette's is. Or do they? Everyone thinks we cuss. Everyone. Yeah, I cuss, but not with my Tourette's. In fact, did you know that that's one of the rarest ticks out there? Coprolalia is one of the rarest ticks out there, and yet everyone seems to have it. Makes you wonder. As I analyze society and people with Tourette's, I'm starting to realize that there's an area that we haven't discussed yet. Some people misdiagnose themselves. Did you know that you can have head trauma tics? You can have tics from head trauma. You can have tics from anxiety. My bass player has severe anxious tics and he doesn't have Tourette's. Did you actually go to the doctor and get diagnosed with Tourette's syndrome? Or are you just prancing around going, yeah, I got Tourette's, shit, fuck, ass liquor? What if I told you that I didn't have the cure for Tourette's, but I can make your tics 10 times better? What if I told you it required no medication? I know, right? That's pretty cool. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, peeps and creeps, my name is Josh Hamilton, but you can call me Ticker. Yes, I go by Ticker. I've gone by Ticker since I can remember. I took my Tourette's and made it my brand, who I am, and my music, my stories, my everything. You don't have to let Tourette's run your life anymore. Ticker's here to help. And I decided to make a documentary called The Survival Guide to Having Tourette's Syndrome, and I wrote a book called The Survival Guide to Having Tourette's Syndrome.
How you coming on that novel you're working on? Huh? Got a big stack of papers there?
In this book and in this documentary, I talk about perspective, bullies, alternative treatment, all the above, and I take no medication at all. I know, right? It sounds too good to be true, but I have it right here. This guide, this documentary. We're gonna get shit done. And enough with those documentaries made by people that don't have Tourette's. This documentary is for people like you and me that have Tourette's syndrome. There'll be no more misdiagnosis. There will be no more medication. I'm Ticker Twisted. Join me on a journey, an epic quest, in this documentary called The Survival Guide to Having Tourette's Syndrome. Prepare for the best Tourette's documentary ever!
Symmetry is coming undone and I'm about to lose control. Corrupt from the bottom up, the shots from the bottle take their toll. I know it burns when it's going down. Man up, stay strong, all by the next round. Deviate from the path that's made, paradise might come your way. Let loose and live it up before the madness starts to erupt. While the wind of mile of now, every man for himself. Take a stride down the devil's path, you might never be.
We're at Central Washington University. I was here hanging out with my family. I thought, this would be a great place to ask people what they thought Tourette's was. So we're gonna do it right here, today, right now. And the whole point of this is to see what they think Tourette's is. And I'm pretty sure they think Tourette's is when you cuss. Just gotta find some victims. They're all really smart. They're all wearing headphones. Hey, do you have a minute? You guys got a minute? Any of you got a minute to talk about Tourette's? Talk about Tourette's for a minute? Class? Stay in class. You got a minute? Talk about Tourette's? You know what Tourette syndrome is? She's like, thank God I'm on a bike. Do you have a minute to talk about Tourette syndrome? Tourette syndrome for Tourette's TV? Not at all? Do you at least know what it is? Yeah. Tourette syndrome? Okay, that's good.
My name is Bogdan.
Oh, I like that name. That's cool. And you just said that you've actually never heard of Tourette's, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So what you do know is that on television and stuff, that you see them like cussing uncontrollably and stuff like that. So is that kind of like a representation of what you think Tourette's may be?
Yeah, I got an idea.
My first impression for Tourette's is probably from TV and movies,
Right.
and so a lot of it is usually profanity based
Yeah, you got any
and it's funny. Man, I actually wanted to think of the first movie that I saw, but it was bitch.
Yeah.
You know. It's
Would you feel comfortable with kind of acting it out? Sure. Class out of nowhere, like, fuck. When they say fuck.
Like some people are like, fuck, fuck, like out of nowhere.
Well, I see a lot of just kind of physical type of it, just like little twitches, or sometimes there could be like an auditory sensory that can kind of affect. That's what I'm kind of seeing, or like what I. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought.
No, it's me
Yeah.
ticking. I trust.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so. What about this guy?
Headphones. Those damn headphones. Do you kind of have an idea, and are you comfortable with acting it out?
Probably not. I believe Tourette's is when you have uncontrollable spasms every now and again.
Yes.
Like my friend Sam, she had this little bark she does from time to time, and little head turn whenever she gets too emotional.
So my best friend actually has Tourette's syndrome, and he explains it. His name is Tanner. He explains it as his brain telling him that he has to do a twitch or a sound that he cannot fight. He has to do it, and it's if he doesn't do it, it will make him really upset.
It's kind of involuntary action that the person does without their intent.
So you do know what Tourette's is, and that's a good base of what that is. Blah 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 and something. And I totally go to school here. They don't have to ask me anything because I go to school here. Cool.
Tourette's is any number of verbal or physical tics that you are unable to control that intermittently pop up in your speech or communication patterns.
Nice. So you're aware that it's not just the cussing kind of stuff.
Now, I actually have a boss who does insist that that's it, and yeah, it's really not that.
The test today is to see how many people assume that we cuss only. But you actually are aware that people don't just cuss, that they actually have many other different tics.
Yeah.
Hollywood took it and ran with it, and it's actually the rarest. It's called coprolalia. So we're letting people know that the cussing one isn't the only one out there. A lot of people make fun of people with Tourette's. Right. But so today we're kind of punking people who don't have Tourette's because most people think it's about cussing. But you know better than that. Talking about how Hollywood does that, how they take the funniest tic and they run with it, and it's called coprolalia. And it's actually the rarest tic. It's the most rarest tic, and most people think that Tourette's is kind of just that because of Hollywood and stuff. It's no one's fault. And to be honest, my favorite episode is the one with South Park, South Park, where Cartman has Tourette's.
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
and it's hilarious, but it's not a good representation. You're obviously aware that it's not just cussing.
Right.
Okay, that's what we're doing. We're spreading awareness to let people know it's not just the cussing, because Hollywood took that and ran with it.
Even though a majority of the students believe that Tourette syndrome was only coprolalia, I was very impressed with the number of people that in fact knew that Tourette's was a little more than just cussing. Okay. So, I'm gonna get a little serious. I'm gonna get it done right now. To understand how I took all that stuff and I made it a part of me. Chapter 1! They call me Ticker. I'm not gonna read it from the book. That would ruin the point of getting a book. I was born on a Navy base in Whidbey Island, Washington, 1989. Good year. And technically I was born in the 80s.
I recently retired from the military. I did 30 years altogether. When Josh was born, I was active duty Navy. He was born up at Whidbey Island. Yeah.
When I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome officially. My mom swears up and down it was 6, but I swear to God she told me forever it was 4. Either way, I was diagnosed with Tourette's.
6 or 7. Your onset was at 4.
It's all news to me.
Yeah.
Officially diagnosed. Yeah, I want to push that. I want to push that a lot. I remember it was like, and you probably remember, it was like being possessed. I couldn't do anything about it. And I can only imagine how hard it was for people way back in the day that had Tourette's. Because they were like burning everyone that looked possessed. So I don't even want to think about that. Just like all of you, most of you, most likely. It was hard. School's hard.
He started running out of, he would run out of the classroom. The teachers would have to chase him. They didn't know how to deal with Josh at that time. For the most part, Josh had to stay in the fence yard because if he ever went out of the fence yard, the neighborhood kids would, bully him, fight him, beat him up, try to, ambush him, get him alone.
Kids would wait outside near the doorways and they would just fucking shove me. They would just shove me super hard into walls and they were just mean, because I was different. There was a moment when my cousin Kiana, who grew up with me at that time, remembers just a circle of kids. There's tons of them, and I was in the middle, and they were all just kicking the shit out of me, just because I was different.
Playing on the playground, and there's a group of boys surrounded Josh for no reason. We had each other's back, and it was either me or him. and next thing you know, there's punching, kicking, and there's Josh in the middle of all of it, against everyone for no reason. It breaks my heart. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
It makes me sad.
I wasn't expecting that.
It makes me really sad.
I'm sorry for getting over.
Nobody deserves that.
At that point, I was fed up. I wasn't going to take it anymore. I was pissed, and I just started fighting back. And I was so violent towards other kids, and I was really getting my revenge back to the point where doctors wanted to send me to correctional facilities. They thought I had a lot of issues. And it's funny how that works, right? Because you're retaliating. You're getting picked on, and picked on, and picked on, and picked on. And then finally you're like, I've had enough! So, I went to correctional facilities. I went my whole childhood up until the age of 13, 14.
They put him in a inpatient facility. For such young kids, it's very brutal for them. They're away from their families. The facility tells you they need round-the-clock treatment to get better.
All the correctional facilities I went to were abusive. I died at one point, but I'm not going to get into that. It's bringing me back. What I didn't want to get at. I didn't want to get to the soft, chewy center of me, but you need to understand where I'm coming from. But was I destroyed? Hell no. This group of friends I had, we had crazy YouTube videos. We were doing things like Jackass all day, all night. Just went out and caused a lot of trouble, and we recorded everything. And at one point we had a sponsored YouTube, and we got excited about that. And then I started a band, and at a young age, my father introduced me to music. It was Pantera, White Zombie, Megadeth, and Metallica. The good stuff. I'd be on stage, and I'd be singing, and the Tourette's would just melt away. And I was like, I can get used to this. The band got signed independently 4 times. 4 times! I mean, a lot of people are trying to get signed once, but we got 4 times. In that experience, in this band experience, I got to play with Uli Roth from Scorpions. Eventually, we had a fallout. The guys that were my family changed. In that time, I had a side project with the Orchestra of Death. I had 15 people in an orchestra at one point. I was doing some other stuff on the side, and the guys didn't like it. They just started treating me differently, so I had to break off.
We have a really good relationship. Tigger's just a dynamic individual, a very charismatic individual, and I'm just really proud to be associated with him. His Tourette's is something that he's been able to overcome. It's very amazing how a person with Tourette's is able to take that disability and deal with it and live with it and excel at what he does. It's just very awesome to watch him work.
I never put music down. I started a band called Cryptamnesia. Still signed independently. Because of this band, I got to play with Doyle from the Misfits. Got to hang out with Bullet Boys. A lot of you my age won't know who the Bullet Boys are, but go check them out. And music today is still one of the things that I do that I need in my life to help the Tourette's. You know, it's my day to go have a show. I get exercise, I jump around, I go crazy, I lose my shit, and it just makes the Tourette's melt away.
I'm the rhythm guitar player for Cryptamnesia, also the rhythm guitar player for the Orchestra of Death. Ticker and I have known each other for 11, 12 years, and music's pretty much what brought us together as a whole. So that's how we came across each other, came across paths, so to speak.
I'm the singer, and this guy.
Yeah, there's this guy. I'm Saren. I play rhythm guitar and backup vocals.
All right. And sometimes we like to get naked.
Oh,
yes.
Kinky. So when it comes to Ticker and his Tourette's, in the music, as long as I've known him and as long as I've watched any of his live performances, and this is for years, from when he was in Ravages of Time, I had never once did he ever have any kind of tics on stage. If he did, it was very minor. The music pretty much makes the Tourette's go away completely. As long as we're doing anything on stage, it's nowhere to be seen.
In my previous band and Tick's previous band, we both played shows together, and that's how I met him. Yeah, that's it. When I get together with Tick to play music, he can come in and he can be having a bad day for his vocal tics. And as soon as we start playing music, it all goes away. As long as he's singing or just being in that moment of doing something he's passionate about, it all goes away. And it's amazing to see the transformation, even on his worst days. As soon as the music starts, it's gone. It's cool to see that something he's so passionate about can help him manage his symptoms. Peace out, I'm done, bitches.
When we're together playing music and we're performing or we're working together on a project, a video project, or anything artistic, really, I see a lot of the tics go away. The focus is a lot more clear in concentration.
I don't ever see him struggling to do anything because of his Tourette's. People telling him that he can't do something because he has Tourette's just makes him more motivated to do it.
Now I'm going to be wrapping up about me here shortly. I don't want to just talk about me the whole time. I just want to demonstrate to you the hardships I went through and how I took all of them and I used it as fuel. All the things that happened to me, all the people that said, no, you can't go anywhere, you're not going to make it in life. All those people were fuel to my success. But nothing feels more fucking great than rubbing it in the people's faces who told you that you can't make it in life. I mean, look at me! And I went to college and graduated for cinematography, and I started my business, Twisted Images Cinematography.
No different than being around anybody else. Yeah, he makes funny noises sometimes, but when we're actually filming, you can control it very well. Trying to control it definitely takes a toll on the muscles.
And now I'm filming for people who were already in TV, and I get to meet all my heroes. If I don't ever get to play on stage with my heroes, I get to hang out with them and interview them. It's amazing. And not once did I let Tourette's slow me down.
Hey everybody, Ticker here, and I'm at Headbangers Con with Aaron from All That Remains, the one and only. And I did a little bit of talking with him, and we started talking about Tourette's and how he's got Tourette's. It's been kind of a thorn in his butt, but I thought maybe he could join us for a minute. This is all about building strength and making sure that we stand up for ourselves. Aaron, I was going to ask you just what are some of the tools that you had in your arsenal while growing up with Tourette's?
To be honest, I didn't have a whole lot. As I've gotten older and older, I feel like it interferes with my daily stuff less and less. But usually if I get if I'm really tired or if I'm stressed out or any sort of heightened emotion, we like to call it, things will start to happen. Most people don't even know that I have it. Even all my close friends know and everything, but it's not as visible as it used to be when I was younger. When I was younger, it was really, really bad.
Same.
But I don't know. I really don't have a way to suppress it. I mean, I've been straight edge for 20 years. I don't smoke weed. I don't drink. I don't take anything.
I'm assuming you work out.
Yes.
Just guessing. And one of the things I actually talk about in my documentary is other ways to suppress the tics. And then it's mental. So I thought plenty of sleep. You said you get tired. It's when mine get bad too. I've had people tell me they don't even realize I have it, and then some people will be like, "Wow, man, you got Tourette's really bad." And it all depends on the what I'm doing. And what I do actually is I'm talking about how meditating, and I smoke a little marijuana. I know you don't, but I do. Just to stay away from a lot of the prescribed medications. And working out is actually a really big one for me.
Yeah, and maybe it has. Maybe it's not something that I've paid attention to. I mean, I've been working out pretty seriously since 2006. And, yeah, maybe it has, and I hadn't noticed. I wouldn't be surprised because it's almost like the energy faucet's on and you can't turn it off. So your body needs some sort of these impulses and releases, and maybe when you're exerting energy, it has an outlet. Maybe it's a thing. I guess I haven't paid that much attention to it. So yeah, but I honestly believe that because I didn't have it until I was probably in 3rd grade. They gave me Ritalin right around 2nd grade for ADD, and it was ADD was a new thing. They're like, oh, we kids are diagnosed with this disorder, whatever you want to call it, and then they tried Ritalin. It was a brand new drug, and then all of a sudden, by the end of 3rd grade, I said my parents started noticing me doing these uncontrollable movements with my head and my shoulders and my mouth and all this other stuff, and the longer I stayed on it until about 8th grade, it got worse and worse and worse. And then I stopped taking that stuff in 8th grade, and then every year since then, I mean, I don't know what year that was, but I'm 36 now. Every year it's gotten slightly less imposing on me, and so I don't know, whether smoke is fire. So I wouldn't be surprised, because you're hyperactive, and then they give you this thing to suppress yourself. So all of a sudden, your body needs an outlet for these electrical signals and these impulses. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the reason.
I actually talk about how drinking is bad too, because when I drink, they go away for a minute, they suppress it, but they actually get worse after, because it's like you temporarily condense it, but then it needs to let out again. So I noticed that. With smoking weed, it doesn't do that, but when I drink, it actually gets super compressed down. Would you say that Tourette's kind of built you up to who you are today, though, in some way? Maybe not entirely,
indirectly. I'm sure a lot of people have gone through some really, really hard stuff growing up in school and sitting in class, and you're the one that's constantly fidgeting and twitching and doing stuff, and everyone's staring at you. I went through an unbelievable amount of stuff through those years of my life, as I'm sure most people did. It's not an easy thing for other people to be around, especially kids who can be pretty mean. I mean, that's just how kids are. They
ruthless, man. Totally ruthless.
Do each other shit.
Yeah.
But going through all that stuff, I can't say I am who I am today, and as far as I've come and the strength that I've gotten from dealing with all of the negative stuff. You can either let it consume you, and you can let it beat you down, or you can use it and find other outlets. And me, I found music and playing instruments and That was the thing that I fell in love with, you know. I mean, I always had a creative passion, but
Perspective, man. You gotta take it and make it as fuel. Absolutely, and that's what this entire documentary is about, is making sure people have that perspective. Don't let Tourette's beat you, you know, you beat Tourette's kind of perspective. I get asked a lot when I'm on, off stage. They go, oh, I noticed when you're on stage, your tics go away. You kind of got that same thing when you're up there focusing on something.
Yeah.
Do they kind of, that's
Yeah,
another...
I don't notice anything when I'm playing. It's, you know,
it's kind of like Ozzy when he's up there singing.
Maybe it's that connection with, like you said, working out. Maybe it's in that sense where you're exerting some sort of energy and your focus is elsewhere, and your body has that outlet. So maybe it is, but I don't. Now that I think about it, I don't think I have anything that acts up during those times. You know?
Yeah, it's something I'm really working on with some really special people. You should consider checking that out, because I bet those are the high times for you when you're working out. You're singing. It's the best.
It's two things that I love to do. You know, so it's my passion.
Yeah. My doctor actually gave me Super Nintendo when I was 4, and it felt like kind of like, give him this, you know. But when I was playing Nintendo and focusing, didn't have any tics, and it was great. Thank you so much for your time, Aaron. I appreciate you coming out here and giving some strength out of yours, man. I really think it's super helpful, and you're a great, successful dude. And I know I was kind of pulling out your ear, but I just knew that you're a cool dude, and I respect you for that, and I want people to see you and hear that from you, because you're such a good dude.
It's not an easy thing to deal with and go through, and you know, if one or two people sees this and it can inspire them to, you know, stay positive and motivate them to do something constructive with their outlets, then that's a win. You know?
So check out Aaron's work on All That Remains, man. They're totally awesome.
Got a new record come out a couple days ago. Check it out.
What? What's the name of it?
Victim of the New Disease.
Nice. Oh, almost ironic. What do you think about it?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I like that. Cool, man. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
The next thing I'm going to talk to you about is perspective. The man who taught me perspective was my own father, Howard Hamilton. My father was a cheerleader in high school, right? I came to my dad and I said, Dad, I want to fight. My dad told me about a time he was in the lunch line, and these bullies decided to call him gay and whatever because he was a cheerleader. My dad put the attention on the bully. Now this perspective for me, I was like, I see. And I was a little weird when I was in high school because I wore like biker gloves on my hands. I didn't know about fingerless gloves yet. I was weird. I had a glove on my right hand. He was like, ooh, Michael Jackson, yeah, you touch little boys, fucker. And I was like, I could touch you if you want. And it freaked him out. And he never picked on me again. I learned that this perspective, this approach in life was very beneficial. I could get back at people and not cause any real physical damage or pain to anybody. I work retail. You know, I could be working in the back of inventory, hiding myself from everybody. I work right in the front. Some people might say you don't have to explain yourself, and you shouldn't have to. Sure, you don't have to, but you can look at the benefit of expressing that. If you're uncomfortable because they're looking at you, the main reason why they're probably looking at you is because they don't realize why you're doing it. Instead of looking at it like you have to explain yourself, look at it more like you're helping them out too. You know, like, hey, I have Tourette's. That's why I'm doing this. Oh, okay. You know, and then it's done, and then you can tick till your heart's content, and they won't even look at you. So if it's them looking at you, well, just tell them real quick. I've got a lot of people that are like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I have Tourette's. And they're like, oh. And I know what they're trying to say, but they say it rude. They're like, well, it's really nice of them to let you out here, right? Like, you're kind of like, oh, thanks, I think. I always joke and I say, actually, I got out of my cage. I gotta go back in like 5 minutes to get put back in my cage in the back where I belong. What they're trying to say is that it's great that this establishment is not biased about it and that they don't mind me being up at the front talking to people. So, I don't get mad because I know what they're trying to say. See, you gotta think like that. You gotta try to think like that. You need to come to the realization that people don't think. People don't think about what they're gonna say, and you can't get mad at every single person who doesn't understand what they're dealing with. You know, and for some it's very intense and all of a sudden, you know, shocking. And I'll be quiet for a good 10 minutes at work, and I'll have this old couple come up to me, and suddenly I do my tick. And it startles them, like, oh my god. A lot of people think I'm going to sneeze or I'm yawning, and then, you know, and then someone will yawn back. I made you all yawn, didn't I? And they'll be like, don't do that, I'm tired. And I'm like, oh, I have Tourette's, I'm not yawning. And they're like, oh my god. Like, they just said something really mean to me. The payoff is almost as good. You don't need to yell at them and put them in their place to feel good about it. With my peacock tick, I always tell people I'm great to take to parties. You know, I go, woo! You know, and it gets people pumped, actually. People are like, woo, yeah! You know, they come up, and I'm like, hey, you cannot dwell on every single person that is rude. You have to realize that not everyone is equipped socially. They don't know how to approach it when they're scared or surprised or nervous. Their go-to might be something rude by the way they were born and raised, and that's not your fault. Straight from the book, this one, right? Bullies are like assholes. They stink. I heard that these days you can get arrested for fighting in high school. I mean, what is this fucking world coming to, anyways? Whatever happened to a good one-on-one brawl with the bully? You know? Like, 1, 2, you know, your moment. Now it's frustrating, and I get it. Okay? And you go to the counselor, and you're like, this bully's picking on me. What do the counselors say? They always say, just walk away. It's okay, just walk away. You know, that doesn't work. Did walking away ever really work? No, because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you a little secret. You ready? Bullies have legs. Hello? You can take the perspective that I put into play. You can throw it right back at him. Hey, look, everybody! Ticker has Tourette's, which is something that I got a lot. It's weird because I never made that sound, but they went straight for like the water boy. I'm up for football. They always did that. So right there, it's easy. It's like, oh man, you look like you're gonna have a stroke. Are you okay? Are you gonna live? Do I really look like that? So joking back and forth can only go so long. But you might be dealing with a bully that's really violent, you know? And I've had my fair share. At that point, you're pulled into what I call life's first moments of a shitty situation. If anything, we can thank bullies because they teach us at an early age that life sucks and that life has obstacles and hard situations and choices that you have to make. I'm not saying to your kids or to anybody to just fight. I'm not promoting fighting. I'm promoting trying to get away, like the counselor asks, even though that doesn't ever work. And then trying to talk your way out of it and joke and stay calm. Because they're going to go for all the things that hurt you. Your Tourette's, your mother, your dad. I mean, kids are brutal these days. If you have dead anybody in your family and they know about it, they're going to talk about it. And that's hard. That's really hard to fight. I used to tell people they better shut up or I'm going to scream in their ass. Right? That makes no sense, but it makes them think. Now, shut up before I scream in your ass! And then you get a funny image, you know, like him bent over, and you're like, ah! Oh, that never gets old. It just throws them off. The idea is to not engage and give them what they want. And you don't have to be a quick thinker. I'm not a quick thinker. I'm not. That's why I just go straight to, like, shut up or I'll scream in your ass. Now, there might come a time when you have to fight. And what I mean that is, you're in the corner and you actually have to defend yourself. You know, your life depends on it. You're a human being, and you're an awesome person. You're an awesome person. Don't you freaking look at me like that and say no. And you do not deserve to just take a beating. You are up against a bully, and you have no choice. You have to do what's right. You have to defend yourself. At that point, that's just life. You have to defend yourself. If you are out on the street, and people got you up against a wall, and they're going to kick your ass, are you just going to lay down and take it? If you're not good at defending yourself and you know nothing about it, there are so many YouTube videos out there. I watch YouTube videos. There are books, and you can check to see if your town has simple ways to defend yourself. Don't let bullies rule you. I've been medication-free since I was 18 years old. And going. And what I learned is that the medication suppresses my tics. It doesn't give me the chance to learn how to handle it myself. So when I first got off medication, and if you ever decide to get off medication, just know it's going to hit you hard because you just went with medication suppressing your tics for so long. So you're probably going to have them pretty bad. And I'm no doctor, but this is my experience and what I learned and all the experimentation that I've done with my body and my Tourette's. I used to have severe panic attacks to the point where it was like once every month, once every week, every other day, and then multiple times a day. And it was actually wrecking my life more than my Tourette syndrome, and it was really bad. I was sick of it. I was tired of it, and then I realized I need to get creative. So aside from having negative people in my life, I kicked them out of my life. But I realized that Tourette's and panic disorders are both mental. So I was like, your mind is an organ and a muscle. So if you strengthen your mind, this should help with Tourette's, I feel. And I found out that I got some pretty good results out of it. And I don't have the science to prove it. But this is something that I did and that it works. I meditate. I try to get sleep. If I can get a good night's sleep, it helps. I know that's hard, right? Meditation is something that I've been doing since I was 13. And I admit, I don't do it every night. I wish I would more, and I'm going to try to do it more. But the days that I meditate, it's amazing. It calms me down. I feel it. It's like being medicated, but just yourself. And you're calm, and it's incredible. And I'm going to walk you through how I meditate. And it could be something that works for you. It could be something that you could take parts of and make it your own, or it could just inspire you to meditate in general and find your own thing. Alright, so everyone's got their own different way of meditating, I think. I mean, it's probably like a stereotypical way, but the way I do it is the way I've been doing it since I was 13. It's a little more elaborate than some, but it works really well. I'm wearing my little school Christmas pajamas. Just, stretch. I can't stretch as far as I used to be able to. Just both legs. Alright. Do some of that. I take 10 deep breaths. I hold it in for 2 seconds. I pause for a minute. I let out for 4, and I do that 10 times. And by the time I get to 10, you just, with your muscles all relaxed, and those deep breaths, you just start feeling really relaxed. So what I like to do is I like to close my eyes. I picture all the things that stress me out, anything. It could be fights I've had today, work, anything. I picture all of them on pieces of paper, just like typical college rule paper. I crumple up all those things that upset me and I put it in a trash can. Once I put it in the trash can, I light everything on fire and then I shoot it to space. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's very just completely getting rid of all the things that upset me. So I crumple it up in my head, I burn it to ashes, and I just blast off to space. And it's just completely away from all the things that stress me out. Once that is set, I like to picture myself coming up towards a black hole. And I slowly enter that black hole. And when I get into that black hole, I know that everything around me it's just blackness. I'm not around anything. And it helps to have music on because it's hard to separate yourself from your surroundings, especially if you have the fan going on in the bathroom in the distance, or it's hard to visualize when you hear the things around you and you can physically see where they're at in your mind. You have to just separate yourself entirely to do this trick. But I enter the circle, and then I feel like I'm floating in that circle for a while. I just focus on being in blackness, and I just focus on thinking about nothing. I just look at the back of my eyelids, and I just try to think of nothing. So once I got myself mentally calm, I like to strengthen my mind and picture my soul leaving my body and sitting across from myself. Then the hard part is trying to take your mental, your image, and try to think of being that spirit in front of you looking back at you. And it sounds very elaborate, but once you've calmed yourself to the point where you can control, with your eyes closed, mentally thinking about looking across the room at you, you've just achieved that mental strength. When I was 4 years old, I was actually prescribed a Super Nintendo. To this day, I play video games to help me focus on something. Until I get super angry. If you get really frustrated, the tics start coming. And that's when you need to realize to put it down.
Ah! Stupid dick! Your parents don't love you, you're adopted!
It works. It works very well. Keeping my mind busy is one of the things that works really well for me. Playing music, focusing on music, editing videos, doing those kinds of things. Just keeping your mind busy. Find something in your life that you love that lets your mind work. When you get in the flow, it's called flow, you know, when you get really in the zone. There's when you start it, you might be ticking a little bit, you might be working on something, whatever. But when you're really in the zone, the tics go away. I don't even realize I have Tourette's, and I just start focusing on things, and it works so well. One of the next things I want to talk about may be a tender topic for some of you, in certain states specifically, especially. I do smoke marijuana. Don't judge me.
Honestly, I feel like it ranges on a whole spectrum of pseudo-medicinal reasons. So even your most casual recreational user, a 21-year-old kid who maybe works at the lumber mill here in town, will come in because he's worked a hard day and wants something to relax, and that's not much different than seeking a prescription for Valium for stress, or using over-the-counter medication for light pain for your back or whatever. And I would rate that stress and bodily discomfort at almost recreational, but the most casual of medical uses. And then that ranges all the way to extreme pain, cancer patients, and people with all sorts of tremor-related illnesses, be that epilepsy or Tourette's. Even first-time customers, really common today to have a really prevalent older crowd. But yeah, our senior crowd grows every day. People coming in who probably at one point in their life had swore they would never use cannabis, coming in for topicals just for simple arthritis pain. And again, these are things you could buy over-the-counter medications for, or maybe get a prescription for, and they choose instead to get over-the-counter recreational cannabis.
Oh, we definitely get a lot of feedback from customers in general that are looking for various kind of relief for various medical conditions and symptoms, and they're finding that various forms of marijuana products are definitely helping from the perspective of our customers, and that seems to be corroborated by a relatively limited amount of data that's available that we're seeing in the news and studies that seem to be showing a lot of promising possibilities that marijuana products and things have for various conditions, and that seems to definitely be what I would say a large majority of our customers that are coming in are relaying that they're definitely getting positive results for various symptoms.
Since I started smoking marijuana, when I smoke, my tics go away completely. Especially with the combination of meditating and smoking pot. Oh my god. You know, if I could do it every day, I would, but you know, that's unrealistic. And I need to stay, driven. You know, there are strands, okay? And you have to find your strand. You know, there are sativas and indicas. Sativas are the ones that give you a little energy and they let you stay productive. Indicas make you couch locked. And I prefer indicas because they don't make me anxious. Sativas seem to make me anxious, but indicas calm me down, make me tired, and take my tics away completely. And then there are hybrids, where they're together. And I seem to do well under hybrids too. I don't know if it's because there's indica in it. Now, a lot of people smoke to get high. They do it for the THC. THC is what gets you high. CBD, however, is the stuff in marijuana that takes away pain. supposedly. Eases pain is a better way to say that. And takes the tics away, if not brings them down a lot. You want to smoke things. Okay, you don't want to smoke things. You want to smoke marijuana with high CBD, because that's going to take the tics away. These are called tinctures. These are the things that I use. They're high in CBD. They're CBD only, so they don't get you high at all. And you normally take like you spray like 2 of them under your tongue. This is 1,000 milligrams, which does the trick for me. So you just kind of right down there. Takes about 20 minutes. If you're struggling with sleep and you want to try marijuana, I highly suggest learning how to meditate and smoking marijuana. The combination of that will really put you to sleep and take your tics away. See, I smoke in the night because I work in the day. I have a day job.
I actually reached out to the Tourette's Association a little over a year ago, and at first they were actually legit into the idea of having me talk about marijuana. They wanted to be a part of it because they said it was like a hot topic. And then recently I reached out and they actually told me that the media department wants nothing to do with my documentary as long as I talk about marijuana. I just couldn't believe it. I was so disappointed in that answer. And I understand these associations have, deep-pocketed formal donators and stuff, and they have to keep a certain level of social acceptance and appearance, social status. But I mean, like, it's just limiting what people with Tourette's are able to do and what could help them.
When I smoke, it makes the tics go away. I mean, why would you be against that? Why would anyone be against that? With medication, there's so many problems and side effects, and then they give you medication to fix those side effects, and that creates something I call synthetic display of irony. You don't have to be heavily medicated. I used to take what I called cocktails when I was in the mental institutes. I would take little cups that had a bunch, and all 3 cups in one day equaled to mid-20s. There was 20 some pills I would take every day. That's not okay. That's not good for you. And I have side effects from this day because of it. If anything, it's worth giving a try. It's okay to do in your house, whether it's in a state that's illegal or legal. It's fine to do it in your house, so why not give it a shot? Keeping your mind busy, trying meditation, and calming your body and your soul, smoking marijuana and trying out the CBDs and seeing if that works for you, playing music. These are all things that could potentially decrease your tics substantially. And all it takes is just to give it a try. If you want your tics to go away and you want to have control over your life, these are options I'm giving you that work for me. I literally have a guide here of all these potential answers to fill all the cracks in between and to give you complete control of your life with Tourette's. I am not kidding when I say that I have ran into so many people that have misdiagnosed themselves with having Tourette's, and it drives me fucking crazy. It drives me crazy! I'm telling you this because if you think you have Tourette's but you haven't diagnosed yourself, you need to go and get properly diagnosed. Don't diagnose yourself. Don't let your mom or your dad diagnose you. Don't let your friend diagnose you because it sounds like you have Tourette's. There's a lot of stuff in between that actually doesn't mean you have Tourette's, but have similar symptoms, like tics. You can have tics for a lot of reasons, but it doesn't mean you have Tourette's. There's a little area between the ages of 4 and 6, I think, and 16, where Tourette's will kick in that time. But if they don't kick in anytime after that, you don't have Tourette's. It's like it comes in puberty. You know, puberty comes at a certain time.
Puberty, my boil.
If you're 32 or 24 or anything like that, or any of those ages, and you think you have Tourette's suddenly, you don't. I am sick and tired of people I meet that go, "Oh, I have Tourette's." Yeah, really? Oh, wow, I have Tourette's too. When did you have Tourette's? Actually, I got it yesterday. Are you messing with me? No, I have Tourette's. Who told you? Internet? No. You are putting a bad name on everybody with Tourette's Because this is what I deal with. I deal with people going, do you really have Tourette's? Why would I make that up? Why would anyone make that up? Other than desperate attention. No, I've just been faking Tourette's since I was 4. Been faking it for 24 years. I have no life. You can have head trauma, emotional trauma, anxious tics. Those are all things just right there that aren't Tourette syndrome but have Tourette-like symptom. My bass player from Cryptamnesia has a tic where he goes like this. And it really looks like he has Tourette's, but he actually has really bad anxious tics. It looks the same, it does, but it's not the same. You can only have Tourette syndrome through genetics. That's the only way you can get it.
There's things I do with my hands and my neck and stuff that I've always been aware of that I've done. And some of that stuff I remember seeing my dad do when I was younger, and I might have picked that tick up from him and kept it with me, you know what I mean? But usually when I'm aware of me doing it in public, I try not to do it. If I'm sitting on my couch at home by myself, I don't worry about it, I just do it. You know what I mean?
I'm here to tell people who question you, do you really have Tourette's? That's like asking, do you really have cancer? I mean, I know that's the severity is different, but you get what I'm saying. It's rude and it's not okay. No one's faking Tourette's, and no one should be faking Tourette's. I mean, I'm still trying to find out if the Tourette's guy on YouTube has Tourette's or not.
Oh shit! Sorry!
If you think you have Tourette's syndrome, don't diagnose yourself. Go to a doctor and diagnose yourselves properly, please. I really, really appreciate you guys checking out my book, watching the documentary. This is supposed to help you. We talked about perspective and how to view the world and yourself and your situations. We talked about bullies and how easy they are to handle. We talked about alternative treatment, many other ways for you to handle your Tourette's and nullify your tics without taking heavy doses of medication. These all work for me. I have control of my life and my Tourette's because of this system I have and this perspective that I have. The world has been cruel to me, yes, but it's not over yet. And I have a lot of great things in my life right now. Good people, good friends, loved ones, success, and you can too. Tourette's is not a crutch. It is the fuel to your success. So make sure that you reach out to me and you tell me if this works for you. I would love to know. I would love to know if it worked out for you. Thank you guys very much. I'm Ticker Twisted, signing out.
No, but ladies and gentlemen, I'm up here to introduce my best friend and one of my idols. Give it up for Ticker Twisted!
Everybody, my name is Ticker. I have Tourette's syndrome, and tonight I was going to film this for a Tourette's documentary that I'm filming to give people with Tourette's the perspective on how to own their Tourette's and just have a better attitude about it, you know. And I gotta say, give it up for all the comedians tonight. Seriously, and you guys do that. That's great, man. God, it's way easier to just hang out with your friends and talk than it is to get up here. But I have an iPhone. Hope you guys don't mind. I've had Tourette's since I was 4, and you know, I never put up with anything. I was just always gifted with just not giving a shit. Like I was like, it wasn't my fault. I just knew that, you know. Like I was like, I have Tourette's, whatever. I make sounds and stuff, and I was okay with that. And when I got to, I was in special ed probably my whole life, you know, because my parents were like, you know, he's got Tourette's, so he's probably stupid. And I was like, all right, so I'm gonna go and have sped. But I was there, and I always remember the first time I had my teacher, my sped teacher, come up to me. She had like a substitute, and she was like, "Oh, this is Josh, and he's gonna be joining us tonight." And I swear to God, she looks at me, she goes, "Hi, I miss." And I was like, "Good God!" And I thought maybe she thought the other lady said I was deaf. But then I realized that the teacher is also special, right? I mean, that's got to be the only. That's got to be the only. I was like, oh, okay, special teaching is special. I'm okay with that. And that wasn't me heckling you. I'm just back there screaming without control. So I'm not insane either. The last time I checked. But I've had a lot of tics in my life, and a lot of people with Tourette's, they just randomly go through random Tourette's. I don't know. There's no science
Speaking
behind
of
it.
microphone.
Sorry.
I don't know why people say that.
There's a lot of people with Tourette's. They don't have control of what's happening. It just comes and go. But when I was 14 or 15, I had a tick where I was the Kool-Aid man, and I really had that. I was like, oh yeah, all the time. And it might be because I repeated it with my friends a lot. But I mean, my friends were like, oh yeah, and then one day I was like, oh yeah, and I was like, I think that's a fucking tick. Oh yeah, that's a tick. So, and then, you know, it's great because when you have that tick, it gets everyone riled up, you know, like you're just random like, oh yeah, and everyone's like, oh yeah, you know? Yeah, and everyone just is cool with it, and you're like, oh yeah, I don't have Tourette's, I'm just excited. But sometimes it's really awkward, like when you're at a funeral and they're lowering the body and you're like, oh yeah. I didn't mean that, oh yeah. You know, so, and then I had a tick where I screamed fish clit. I've never seen a fish clit in my life. I don't know. I never went and fished with my dad, so I don't know where it came from. I was just like, fish clit! You know? I don't even know what it looks like. I'm hoping it looks like a real clit, but on a fish. So that's all I can assume. You know, and now I have a peacock tick, and I call it a peacock tick, and that's the sound you heard me going like, woo, woo, like that. Because I babysat some friends' peacocks for a week. And if you don't know, they go, oh, oh, and the next thing you know, I'm going, oh, fuck, you know, like, and it's only day 3. I'm like, this is day 3. So 4 more days of, you know, I'm setting off because they're doing it, and they think I'm talking to them. So it was fucking hell. It was terrible. So that's the longest tick I ever had, is when I'm screaming, and people think I'm just stoked all the time. And I work retail. That wasn't even a joke yet. What the hell? I work retail. That's the best joke. Yeah, exactly. Wait until you hear my stories. So I'm not in the back either. I'm in the front, and because I'm proud to have Tourette's. I don't give a shit. I've always liked having Tourette's. I'm okay with it. You know, I go by ticker. I've gone by ticker since I can remember. And but some of the things I get, and people are like, they try to be nice, but they say it in the meanest way, and I'm okay with that because I understand that people are ignorant. You know, like they say it before they even realize what the fuck they're saying. So a lot of people, a very common amount of people go, oh, well, it's really nice of them to let you out here. Thanks, I think. Now I'm actually supposed to go back in my fucking cage. Like, I only got 5 minutes. I'm back in the cage where I belong. You know, but I don't get upset because I know that what they're trying to say is that it's great that this establishment is okay with, like having someone up here, and they don't care about that. And it's true, because I had a guy at KFC kick me out for having Tourette's, and you'd think that I could bust him, but he flat out said, it's my word over yours. So I left, and I stole a bucket of chicken, and I was okay with that, But people are like that, and it's all right, it's just how people are. Just don't have high expectations. People get upset all the time because people expect the most out of people, but people are... I mean, you guys all know people don't think. They don't think about what they say, and they don't think. So a lot of us just don't do that, and I expect that out of people. I don't get bummed all the time. So, I'm not professional like you guys. Okay, you guys came up here with balls. I got an iPhone. All right.
Ball. Android for life.
So I like to joke about my Tourette's. I've never used it for like an excuse. I think that's messed up. You should never do that. I did flip my teacher off once and blame it on that, though, because I had a tick where I was going like this, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Tourette's. It happens, man. I mean, that was the only time I can think of. But I like to joke about it. And I parked in front of my work one day, and my manager got mad at me for parking too close. Because, if you work retail, you have to park way the fuck in the back. And all the people who work there have to park in the back, and all the people that come and visit have to be in the front, because they get the quick access. But I was I was trying to like squeeze in and park in the front, and my managers got on me that, and I was joking, and I was like, oh, I have this tick where I park in the front. You know, can you imagine? Oh yeah, you know, just parking in the front. And I was only kidding, and they knew that. But it's funny how many people who don't have a disability. Oh man, I have cotton mouth so bad. I was not smoking. But it's funny how many people out there don't have disabilities, but they get really defensive for people who have disabilities. You know, they get really defensive, and they don't have anything. So I joke about that a lot. But there's always that one person, and you can always tell in a group, like, who's the nitpicky jerk. They're like, you know, you can't use that all the time, you know. And they always do that. They're like, after like the third time I joke, you can't do that all the time. Fucking watch me. I have Tourette's, dick licker. Like, hello? You know, I can do whatever I want. You know, it's not like I'm going to go to court and go, Your Honor, I have this tick where I put the bullet in the barrel, I cock it, and I shoot a fucker in the head. It's a tick. I can't help it. I'm not going to do that. Like, and people get so serious about it, you know? Like, so I'm going to bring this up, last joke here. And make sure you guys, if you guys are interested, it's called The Survival Guide to Having Tourette Syndrome. Because there's a lot of people I met with Tourette's who don't, they really don't, they lack confidence. You know, they're really hard on themselves. And I wanted to be the guy that they can look to, you know, because right now we only have the guy from, you know, like Cartman from South Park when he's faking Tourette's, which is really funny. You know, like I get in on that, but we got that guy and the Tourette's guy on YouTube. You know, that's all we got for idols, and they're funny as hell. But I just wanted to give people with Tourette's, you know, something to have a different perspective of, because life's all about perspective. You can choose to enjoy yourself and take it and use it as fuel, or you can be miserable and be unhappy, and you know what I'm saying. So this last joke is about a guy. I lived in an apartment complex behind Taco Bell in Burlington a couple of years ago, and there was a guy downstairs. He was in a wheelchair. I didn't have to say downstairs. You know where he's at. He's downstairs. We didn't have an elevator. I'm not dissing people in wheelchairs. You know, he wasn't Joe from the Family Guy, so he didn't have that, you know. But Peter, I can't, I'm handicapped. But he was the kind of guy that just didn't appreciate, you know, he took what he had and he got really miserable about it. After about a year of being there, I was ticking, you know, woo, because I'm stoked about everything. Woo! And he came out and he was like, hey, you know, do you mind? And, you know, he didn't know. And, like, again, I didn't get upset because he doesn't know. He doesn't know until you know, until you tell him. And I was like, oh, you know, I have Tourette's. That's why I'm doing that. And I expected someone with a handicap to be a little more empathetic. But he was actually like, oh, well, can you stop, though? And then I realized I can level with this guy because we're both handicapped. Not literally because he's, you know, down here, but you can level with him. And I said, I don't know, can you stand up? And I'm not being mean. I can't help my Tourette's. So to be like, can you stop? I don't know, can you fucking stand up? You know? And this guy acted like good God, I did the worst thing in the world. And I was like, you know, it's not the same thing, you know, in a way, you know, but obviously we can't control what it is on both ends. So he freaked out, and I just couldn't believe how insensitive he was, because he knows what it's like, you know, to be like that. So, like I said, you have perspective. You can take what you have and run with it and make it a part of who you are, your brand. I've had Tourette's my whole life, and I made it a part of who I am. So if you have that, if you have anything wrong with you, make it a part of who you are, you know, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So make sure you have the best perspective, because your Tourette's is not a crutch, it's a fuel to your success. Okay? All right. Thank you very much, guys. I'm Ticker.
All right, thank you. Keep it going for Ticker. Ryan, please.
Okay, who wants to? I need someone to be dramatically startled. Yeah.
I'm gonna do this.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, but kind of like a.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, a little flamboyant. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, don't do that. I'm tired.
They'll be like, "Don't do that. I'm tired." I'm like, "Oh, that was good."
Oh, you guys are awesome, man. I appreciate you. Let's say I'm.
I am Josh's mom, I think.
Almost like a cute little like rhyming book.
And cut.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Okay, ready? Ready? Okay, and perfect.